Good evening. That video's kind of hard. All right, so my name is Eddie Lacombe. I grew up in a Christian home in Houston. At 5 years old, I accepted Christ as my Savior. I went to church and was taught right from wrong. I remember I grew up going to church every Sunday and Wednesday. My parents were Christians. As I got older and I got into my teens, I remember seeing a documentary that idolized the punk rock culture. And from that moment on, that's what I strived to become. And with that culture came drugs. At 16, I ran away from home, and the drug use really began. By 18, I had already served time and had a felony. When my son was born, a few years later, I remember looking at him and thinking, like so many fathers do, today is the day I'm going to change. I'm going to do it for you. I told myself I was going to stop all the partying and the drugs. I told myself I was going to stop everything except for the weed. Only end up with a failed marriage, heavy drug use, and lots of anger. I couldn't keep a job. I was looking for love in all the wrong places. Now in my 30s, I knew what I needed to do because I grew up learning those lessons. I knew what I needed to do. But I just ignored God. I blamed Him for everything that was wrong in my life. I ended up meeting and marrying my now wife. I was happy. She was everything I ever dreamed of. But I was full of guilt. See, over the years, I had learned to hide my addiction. So again, in my life, things started to crumble. Because of my meth habit, I couldn't pay the bills. I began to use the arguments with my wife as an excuse to leave. I ended up abandoning my wife, my son, and I started to go deeper in my addiction. I started to use a needle and became a slave to it. I ended up living in the streets, doing whatever I had to do to support my habit. I was on the fast track to either prison or to the grave. My family had to stop reaching out to me. I had no one. Then I started to receive a text from a childhood friend, Tiger, who was my youth leader growing up. He offered to take me to a rehab facility. After weeks of turning him down, there came that one morning when I woke up on a sidewalk in an abandoned shopping center, and I finally said to myself, I've had enough. He picked me up and took me to a 90-day faith-based rehab in Houston. But within 48 hours, they had already kicked me out and had called Tiger to come and get me. Tiger was on a mission. He was not going to let me go back to the streets. He started making calls, and he reached out to Loretta Beam. She is the awesome secretary here at SOS. She helped Tiger set up a meeting between Steve Savala and myself. Steve explained to me the rules of the men's home, the work program, the expectations. He said, I'm going to give you till Sunday to decide if that's what you want to do. Well, on November 9th, 2014, I walked through the front door of the S.O.S men's home, and my life was forever changed. I know I wasn't an easy person to deal with. There were plenty of times that I wanted to walk away, but to be honest, never having visited Brian, I honestly had no idea where I was at or how to get home. At the men's home, I was taught many new valuable lessons, and I came to realize why my life was a mess. And it's something that I was taught all my life. Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. All I needed to do was submit to him, and he would guide me through life. God knew that a 90-day rehab was not enough for me. He knew that for me to get clean and to stay that way, it would take 10 months. Here at SOS, I would see how the men would treat their families, and I realized what a blessing I had with my wife and my son. I knew that if I was going to be that kind of a godly man or have that kind of a family, I needed to finish the program. Well, praise be to God, I graduated the men's home September 11th, 2015. And since I've been out, God has truly blessed me. With this guidance, I've been able to reconnect and save my marriage with my beautiful wife. I've also been able to be a father to my son, a father that he deserves. I've been able to get to work in the medical field for which I have school and received training. See, God used the SOS family to help me in a time of need. They showed me love, forgiveness, and what it's like to be a godly man. God is not done with me yet, and I will be forever grateful for what God has done through SOS Ministries in my life.